Thank you everyone for coming here tonight, because not many people have assembled here. But anyway, this shows your genuine interest in owning your skills and improving your communication skills. Can anyone tell me what did you gather from Cafe Expresso? What are we going to do? What is the idea? Any guesses? Anyone?
Sitting over coffee and discussing current affairs and various other topics.
Alright.
Interest.
Okay. Okay. Anyone else? Improving your public speaking skills. Alright. How is it different from other public speaking forums? For example, we've got Toastmasters, we've got Bakram Beans. So how's it different?
This, I guess, will be specific to like discussing cases, GDs, like making mock interviews, or kind of stuff like that. Like
presentation skills.
Presentation skills.
All right, all right.
We can judge.
Basically, this idea was the brainchild of a couple of us who are sitting in the front row, and the idea is basically linked to our ultimate placements, in the sense that a couple of us have a little bit of experience in personality development and etiquettes. For example, Saurabh was in the hotel industry, so he's got some experience in grooming and etiquettes. Amit was also involved in personality development. I was also involved in personality development. So we thought, why not share our experiences with you people and then in turn learn from you. Okay, so it's a mutual process where we share our knowledge and we learn from each other. Okay? So it is not a training session as such, although in the first couple of sessions, maybe the first session or the second session, it will be a kind of one-way process where we will share our knowledge with you, and then gradually as we move on, you will also come and present, and then we will also come and present, and we will evaluate ourselves. As someone said, yes, very true, this is not only public speaking, this is more than that, in the sense that we will start with communication skills, then we will move on to presentation skills, and gradually we will evolve to group discussions and interviews, mock interviews, which will be really helpful for our ultimate placements. So that was the objective in mind, and that is what we will take forward, right? So let us start with the session today. I just have a simple question for each one of you sitting here. Can anyone tell me, what is communication skill? What do you mean by communication skill?
To be able to convey your ideas to someone else.
Okay.
Convey your ideas.
So if I'm able to convey my idea, I'm a good communicator. Is that right?
Listening to what the other person is saying and possibly responding in a way, or giving answers which the other person wants to hear.
Alright, okay. Listening and answering. Anyone else? What is communication skill? There are so many people talking about communication skills. You should improve your communication skill. What is communication skill?
The softer aspects of communication.
Softer aspects of communication.
To express your ideas so that the person to whom you are communicating should understand it.
Alright. See, communication is a two-way process where there is a sender and there is a receiver. So if you are the person who is the sender, you send some information and the other person receives that, and if he sends some information, if you're able to receive it, I will say communication is taking place. So it's a two-way process. You say something, I understand it. I say something, you understand it. That's called communication. Another question. Do you think fluency is an important part of communication skill?
No.
Yes.
Fluency in a particular language.
Yes.
Is that related to communication?
Yes. It's important.
No.
How many people say yes? Raise your hand. Aye. Okay. And how many people say no? Okay, why no? Anyone?
There are people who are not able to speak but who are able to communicate better compared to people who are able to speak.
Okay.
Apart from fluency, there is also structure also. Somebody might be very fluent in speaking, but his thoughts may not be structured.
Okay.
In that sense, he can't be called a very able communicator.
Alright. See, basically, communication does not have anything to do with fluency. Because I might be very fluent in a particular language, but I might not be able to convey my ideas to you. And if I'm not able to convey my idea to you, I'm not a good communicator. Okay? So fluency as such is not related to communication at all. So if you have an inhibition, if you think that you're not fluent in English, because of which you will not be able to communicate properly, I think that is a myth. Okay? So communication has nothing to do with fluency, so please take that out of your minds. That's the first thing that you should do, right? Why is good communication important for all of us sitting here? Good communication is important because tomorrow we'll be entering the corporate world where we will have hierarchies. You have to communicate to the people sitting above you and to the people sitting below you, right? So you need to communicate properly. Good communication is very, very important. In order to understand good communication, let me show you what poor communication is, right? Let me show you what poor communication is. So let us start with the session with a video.
Mr. President, Condoleezza Rice is here to see you.
Good, send her in.
Yes, sir. Good morning, Mr. President.
Oh, Condoleezza, nice to see you. What's happening?
Well, Mr. President, I have a report here about the new leader in China.
Wait, Condi, lay it on me.
Mr. President, who is the new leader in China?
Well, that's what I want to know.
Well, that's what I'm telling you, Mr. President.
Well, that's what I'm asking you, Condi. Who is the new leader of China?
Yes.
I mean the fellow's name.
You.
The guy in China.
You.
The new leader of China.
You.
The Chinaman.
Hugh is leading China, Mr. President.
What are you asking me for?
I'm telling you, Hugh is leading China.
Well, I'm asking you, Condi, who is leading China?
That's the man's name.
That's whose name?
Yes.
Will you or will you not tell me the name of the new leader of China?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Arafat is in China. I thought it was in the Middle East.
That's correct, sir.
Then who's in China?
Yes, sir.
Yasser's in China?
No, sir.
Then who is?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir?
No, sir.
Connie, you're starting to piss me off now, and it's not because you're black neither. I need to know the name of the new leader of China, so I want you to get me the Secretary General of the United Nations on the phone.
Coffee, MN?
No, thanks. And Connie, call me George. Stop with that ebonics crap.
You want coffee?
No.
You don't want coffee?
No, but now you mention it, I could use a glass of milk. And then get me the UN.
Yes, sir.
Not Yasser, the guy at the United Nations.
Coffee.
Milk! Will you please make that call?
And call who?
Well, who's the guy at the UN?
No, who is the guy in China?
Will you stay out of China?
Yes, sir.
And stay out of the Middle East. Just get me the guy at the UN.
Coffee.
All right, with cream and 2 sugars. Now get on the phone.
Hello. Right here.
Rice, good idea. And get a couple of egg rolls too, Condi. Maybe we should send some to the guy in China and the Middle East. Can you get Chinese food in the Middle East? I don't know.
So this is what happens when you cannot communicate well. So let us start with the definition of communication. What is communication? As you can see, communication is the art of transmitting information, ideas, and attitudes. Ideas and attitudes from one person to another. Okay? And it is the process of meaningful interaction among human beings. So unless and until you understand what I'm saying, it is not communication skill, right? So there are some spoken words, some written words, some visual images, and body language that you can use in order to communicate properly, right? So these are the 4 tools that you use in order to communicate. Language is the primary tool that you use. So if you see, the communication process involves a sender and a receiver. There is a medium and there is a feedback or a response. So the medium and the feedback and the response, both are very, very important. See, if I stand here and ask you something, and if I do not get a response from you, it means I am not communicating properly, right? So there has to be a response mechanism, a feedback mechanism for whatever you are saying, right? So that is called communication. What are the barriers to communication? Noise, inappropriate medium, assumptions or misconceptions, emotions, language differences, poor listening skills, and distractions. Right? So these are some of the most important things that are barriers to your communication. Okay? So I think if we are conscious of these barriers, then we can avoid these barriers and we can improve our communication skills. Right? Communication skills as such is valued a lot in corporates, in organizations. And the top-notch people, the CEOs and the VPs, presidents, all these people give a lot of importance to good communication. Let's see what Warren Buffett has to say about communication.
Tim, you said you took a class at Dale Carnegie.
Yeah.
And that changed your life.
Yeah.
When was that?
Well, I was totally terrified of public speaking. I couldn't do it. I would throw up. You know? I just wouldn't. So I arranged my classes in high school, college, so I didn't have to do it. And then when I was in Columbia, I saw an ad in the paper. I went down to Midtown, New York. I gave him a check for $100 to sign up for that Carnegie course. I went back and stopped paying without a check. And then I came out here to start selling securities. I knew I had to do it, so I saw another ad. And I went down right near here and handed the guy $100 in cash, and I took the course. They told me you learn all this complicated stuff. It's an MBA. But if you improve your communication skills, I will guarantee you that you'll earn 50% more money over your lifetime. And I said it's kind of beneath the business school to teach you about speaking better, writing better, but that is what counts. And it isn't when you know some of the Latin formula about options or something. And so I tell every one of them, I say, unless you really think you're good at this now, go out and improve your communication skills.
Right, so if you heard him properly, what he was saying is, in business schools, they do not teach you communication. But actually that is the most important thing. So he goes and tells B school students that see, your MBA college or your B school will not do this. It is below the dignity of the B school to do it. But actually that is what counts. Right? So it is that important. Right? So let's move on. Hearing versus listening. So these are two important things which you should differentiate properly in order to understand what is good communication. Hearing is just a physical process. It is natural and it is passive. Now, how many of you are married here? Can you raise your hands? Alright. Okay. So, one question, okay? How many of you, husbands, right? Most of you are husbands here. So, how many of you have got this question from your wife sometime or the other? The question is, are you hearing what I'm saying? Did you hear what I said? How many of you have heard this? Right? Even I have heard that a lot of times. Okay? And then you will wonder all of a sudden, okay, because you were actually not listening. Okay, so you say, yeah, I was. And then you know what will be the next question. So tell me, what did I just say? And then you start wondering, yeah, what is it that she said just now? And then you start searching for answers, right? But you do not get an answer. That's because you were not listening, you were just hearing, right? So there is a difference between hearing and listening. Hearing is a passive process, whereas listening is an active process where all your senses are alert and you are actually comprehending what the person is saying, as well as you are giving a feedback or response. So it's a dual process. So you should listen more often. You should not hear, you should listen. That is very, very important. Right? And that will also do you good in your married life. Right? So let's move on. Listening is, so listening is hard. You must choose to participate in the process of listening. This is a conscious decision that you must make. Some essentials of communication. Always think ahead about what you're going to say. Use simple words and phrases. Now, this is another big problem. When we write emails or when we say something, more often than not, we end up making huge sentences, long sentences. Please try to keep your language very simple. Use simple words. Keep your sentences short. Okay, that conveys the message better. And you are prone to making mistakes if you have long sentences, grammatical mistakes. So you will avoid that also. Increase your knowledge of all subjects that are required to speak clearly and audibly. Now, this is another big problem that you will face, that you will see with many people who speak. Now, if you're saying something and the words are not very clear, how will the other person understand? So, please be very clear. Now, why are people not clear? The reason is, most of them try to rush with what they want to say. Why do we rush? Probably because we are afraid that we will forget, or probably because of the fear of people. There's no need to rush. When I started speaking, the very first thing that my teacher told me in my 6th standard was that when you are standing on the stage, please understand that all the other people who are sitting are actually fools, because they are listening to you. You are the person who is speaking, which means you are the person who has the ability to speak. Now, if you can get this into your minds, I think the task is half done. All the other people who are sitting are not better than you. You are better than them. That is the first thing that you should keep in your mind when you are speaking, right? And if that happens, then you will automatically get that confidence to speak, right? Okay. Check twice with the listener whether you have understood accurately or not, whether you have been understood. Okay. In case of an interruption, always do a little recap of what has been already said. The feedback mechanism that I was talking about. Always pay undivided attention to the speaker while listening. While listening, always make notes of important points. That is also important. Ask for clarification. Repeat what the speaker has said to check whether you have understood accurately. Okay, so some of the do's of essentials of communication. Some of the don'ts. Don't instantly react and mutter something in anger. Now, this is one thing that all of us must understand and must stick to, especially in our corporate life. Your boss says something, okay, or you're in the boardroom, there's a meeting going on, and the CEO says something, or the VP says something, and you don't want that to happen. Okay? You are against downsizing, and he says, no, let us downsize. You instantly react. Please wait. Let him speak. Whatever he has to convey, let him convey. And then, at the end, you speak. You give your feedback. That is how it should be. Do not use technical terms and terminologies not understood by majority of people. Look at the crowd that you're speaking to. It is very, very important to understand what kind of crowd are you addressing. If I was addressing probably 7th standard kids, this would not be how I would address them. I would have to go down to a lower level in order to make them understand what I'm trying to say. Right? But all of you sitting here are at a level which is much higher than that level. Right? So please understand the level of people that you're catering to. Do not speak too fast or too slow. Do not speak in audible surroundings. Yes, as you won't be heard. Do not assume that everybody understands you. This is another very, very important aspect of speaking, because when you say something, suppose you use the terminology which most of the people do not understand, right? Please ask them, have you understood? Right? So it is again a feedback mechanism. While listening, do not glance here and there as it might distract the speaker. Do not interrupt the speaker. Do not jump to the conclusion that you have understood everything. Right? Okay. Do you have any questions related to communication? Yeah.